You're listening to The Endless Party with your hosts,
Megan Elijah Armstrong.
Hey friends, welcome back to The Endless Party. We're so glad you're here with us. Today we're actually talking about something that I grew up with, which has been awesome to experience, and that's the cabin party. So my family bought a cabin in Island Park, which is close to Yellowstone National Park, probably when I was 10 or so. So what is that? It was 17 years ago.
Wow.
Anyways, so then we upgraded because our family was obviously pretty big because I come from a family of 7 kids. And so we upgraded, I think, 4 or 5 years later. And we've been going to that cabin ever since. And it's just been a really fun experience. That's where I learned how to motorcycle ride, and that's where I learned how to do a backflip on the wakeboard. That's where I learned to air chair. It's just a lot of like really fond and good memories, and we had a lot of good friends there. So we had an opportunity to go back this past summer, and it was just a great experience again. And I actually was able to try slalom skiing, and I don't know if you've ever tried slalom skiing, but it's actually pretty difficult. Luckily, I was able to figure it out, and I attribute that because I grew up on the water. So anyways, this experience was a little different just because Meg's pregnant with twins. There's a few different like dynamics that we had to kind of work through and whatnot. And but overall, it was a pretty good and fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It was super fun. And I've been to the cabin, I think this is my 3rd summer now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, and so when I'm able to choose to do water sports behind the boat, it's a great time. Like, I love being behind the boat too, and it's where Elijah's taught me how to wakeboard and air chair and, just be a part of that. So it's super fun. And something else is this cabin is just in the most picturesque spot. Like, it's on an acre of land, and it's just surrounded by beautiful pine trees, and then there's mountains as far as you can see, just covered in
it's a
pines.
beautiful location.
And then there's beautiful wildflowers that grow on,
in the open valleys and stuff as you drive up.
Yes, it's so beautiful. And it really, the road where the cabin sits on, there's other cabins, but it really is quite quiet and very tranquil.
Yeah.
Tranquil up there.
It's been interesting to just experience this growing up, because what's actually kind of reassuring about a place like this, and I'm sure some of you can relate, whether it's a camping trip or a cabin of your own or, a grandmother's house or whatever it is, you continue to age and life continues to change, but that place never changes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I think that's what's so comforting about like the cabin. It's like, that's where I did some of my most rigorous training for sports, because it was a higher elevation and I was a distance runner. And the things I remember most is like, yeah, I worked really hard, but then I was able to just take a nap and like zonk out for hours, because I was up in Island Park where the weather was cooler and I was with my brother. So we just like vibed all the time, And so that same feeling, that same dynamic is still there, and it's pretty cool. And I hope we're able to create something like that for our own family.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want it to be the Island Park cabin.
No,
Excuse me, but
we want to make our own.
I want to make our own, and I want to make it our own little oasis,
Absolutely.
And I think that'd be a cool experience, especially for our daughters, and who knows, however many kids we have.
Yeah. So something that I just wanted to bring up too and make sure I mention in this episode is one of the things that Elijah and I feel is important is that it's important to make a point to go and visit your family and to be around your parents and to take trips like this with them. And, I just think it's really important. And what's interesting is that it's always a great time, but I think it's just important for all of us to remember that, like, when you're with your parents, like, you're not on vacation.
Yeah. We actually talked about
Like,
that right after,
it's
right?
still a really, really good time. And I was even talking to my own mother about this, and she's in complete agreement. But like, these big family trips are so fun, but it's just so important to go into them with the mentality that's like, this isn't vacation. This isn't a time.
You're still on somebody else's time. You're still on somebody else's schedules.
Right.
Right? Because it's my parents' vacation. We do what they want.
Yes.
Because it's their cabin, which makes sense, you know?
It totally makes sense. They're hosting. But what's also interesting, too, is like, it's also not vacation in the sense that, like, you should help your parents still with the dishes and you should watch your children.
Yeah, or fill up the boat with
right?
gas.
Or fill up the boat with gas. Like, it still isn't like you can drop your kids and drop everything and expect somebody else to watch them. I don't know. And I just think that's really important. And it's something I learned this summer that I want to be really, really mindful of, you know, as we have our twins and as we continue to go visit our family, whether it's my family or Elijah's family.
I think actually a prime example of this, right? So Meg's family, the Babcocks, have actually came to the cabin a couple times.
Yeah, they have. They love it.
And they're the greatest examples of what Meg is just striving to explain. Because they came on this vacation, but they recognize that it's not their vacation. They recognize that it's Clayton and Sharma's vacation, my parents. And because of that, Austin was the first to help with anything Clayton needed. And then Nicole was the first to help with anything Sharma needed. You know, and they made sure that they brought their own things. They made sure that like their own family was taken care of. But then after the fact, they were like, look, like we recognize that we're on his time schedule, so we'll be ready when he wants to be ready. And because of that example, we were able to be like, that's how it should be done. You know, if we're invited to use somebody's beautiful cabin and use everybody's beautiful things, like we should treat it as such and treat it as our own, you know?
Because one day, in the hopes that we have a cabin and a boat and all the amazing things that make summer so fun, we would hope that people would treat us with that same respect.
Way, right?
You know, isn't that what all of us would want if you were hosting a big family gathering, that the people who come are just kind and gracious and helpful and they contribute?
Yeah.
I just think it's so important, and I also think it really helps out the family dynamic, because when you get a lot of people in a smallish space, you know.
Well, it gets tricky.
It
gets messy. It gets crazy. Well, and then like people get frustrated. I mean, in family gatherings, that's inevitable, right? But then it's like the one person that you don't want to get frustrated is the host.
No.
And it's like I've seen that on many occasions that the host gets really frustrated because he's doing everything to make sure that the people are having fun, but nobody's reciprocating. Right. And it's like he doesn't expect it, but it's like he shouldn't have to expect it. You should just do it.
Right. And what this all really comes back to is changing your mindset and realizing that family trips, you know, where you are not the host.
They're a trip. They're not a vacation.
It's a trip, especially when you have your children. And even if you're choosing to host a family, like, just recognize that it's definitely not a vacation. Like, you are going to be working the whole time, and that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. If you set the expectation that that is what you're doing and you're going to spend time with those you love and serve those you love, then it's not a big deal. But if you think it's something else, that's when I think you can kind of get.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And this just goes back to the understanding, right? Like what Meg said at first. There's such an importance of making sure that you are spending time with family. And don't get us wrong. There is such thing as boundaries, and there's many, many times that you have to say no. We didn't go to the cabin every single time my family went.
No, we didn't.
You know,
I'm pregnant with twins.
We went twice this summer, and it was great. Both times was great, but like we couldn't feasibly make it work as many times as they went up. So definitely set those boundaries for yourself, but make it a priority when you can go and when it is right for you and your family. You know, spend time with your grandparents and spend time with your family. And I mean, if you are a parent, like let your kids be able to experience their grandparents.
Absolutely.
I did want to mention a couple things that happened on this trip just
Oh
because I
yeah,
think
there's
it'd
so
be
many
funny to
memories.
remember.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Meg and I do is we get up and exercise every day, right? And we actually went on a run. And
Oh yeah.
this was wild. Like, this was crazy.
We went on a couple runs.
Yeah, we went on a
actually,
couple,
because
and
there's no equipment at the cabin, so you kind of do body weight stuff.
well, and so we've always ran because that's what we did in high school and college.
Yeah,
But
we
then
always run together there.
we ran together, and I don't know. I mean, definitely it's because of the pregnancy thing, but like, Meg just got a profusely bloody nose like halfway into
And
our
it wasn't
run.
like I was running.
She was leaking like
all-
a faucet,
it was-
man. And we were like, chill. Like, it wasn't like this crazy
I know
pace.
my body, and I especially know my running body and pregnant body so well. And I think it was a mix of the elevation and the extra surge of blood that I have in my body now for the twins. And I got the worst bloody nose I've ever had in my whole life.
Yeah, it was insane. I was like, we're going to get eaten by a bear. Like,
Because
it's going to
there's so
smell
much
this blood,
blood.
and then it will come and eat us. It was crazy.
I had to take my shirt off and just like walk home.
Yeah, she had to like use it to like stop the bleeding.
I had to take my shirt off because we didn't have anything. In a sock, it like would have been too much blood for like a sock.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So I just had to use my shirt.
Yeah,
I
but it was
forgot
awesome.
about that.
I'm trying to think what else happened on this trip.
Oh, we went to a dinner show. And
Oh
that was
yeah,
so
that's
fun.
great.
That's always
That's
such
one
a
thing
fun
I
we
actually
do
would
every
recommend.
summer.
It's called Yellowstone Playhouse, and they do a really good job. They just do spoofs, but they do an incredible job. It's just funny. It's family friendly, like all audiences can attend, and it's awesome.
One of the things we do, we actually didn't do it this summer, but we normally always do it, is we floated the river. And I always think that's so fun. Elijah's done it so many
I've
times
done it so many
now.
times that I'm like, and it's like, it's a float. Like, you're not like,
You have to paddle
yeah,
to get to the end.
like, it's like it's just not my favorite thing. Like,
But
it's
so
so
beautiful.
great for the first half hour, and then I'm like, okay, like, what's going on? Because then you have it for another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, and it's a rock-based spring.
So it's super clear.
It's so clear and pretty, and it's so cold. But I always really like
It is
that.
really fun. It is fun, especially with the right group, because you just get some music going, just start vibing, chatting, all the
It
things.
can be really fun.
Yeah.
Something that always makes me smile is the amount of sausage and bacon that we consume for
Yeah,
breakfast.
my mom makes
His
like
mom makes the greatest breakfast
all
ever.
of it,
She
and
goes
it's
all out
insane.
for breakfast every day.
Like, we don't eat, like, growing up, we never had bacon for breakfast. But then we would go to the cabin and we'd make up for the entire year. We'd have bacon every single day.
So
And like,
much bacon.
it's crazy.
So much bacon and sausage.
It's delicious. There's
It
one
always
time
makes
growing
me
up,
smile.
like, she made 2 Costco packs. And I don't know why she did this, because we didn't even have that many people there. But, like, nobody ate. So me and Mal, like, ate, like, 24 pieces apiece.
It's so much bacon.
Yeah, I was like, I'm surprised our hearts are okay.
Luckily, I'm like pregnant right now, and so I could pound all the food I wanted. You know, like I could contribute and eat a lot of bacon, but it's always so much bacon.
Yeah,
and it's
for sure.
delicious.
We did make sure to take care of, like, we try to practice what we preach here on this podcast, and
We
making
did.
sure we get up and do the small and simple things and our daily essentials and stuff. And so even when we were on these trips and vacations, like, we still make it a point to make sure that we're doing okay, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that was important. This was funny too. So this was just kind of a note to self. So one of the things my father-in-law loves to do is he loves to go huckleberry picking.
Oh yeah,
And you take
all
dirt
the
bikes.
time,
What?
all the time.
He loves to go, and you go.
It's only in August.
It's only in August, and you park your dirt bikes, and then you literally just go into the forest and like scour the forest for huckleberries. And he likes to put them in pancakes and milkshakes, and he just really likes to go huckleberry picking. So this time we went, it wasn't a warm summer this summer in Idaho. It was
No.
pretty cold.
Yeah.
Anyways, so there wasn't a whole lot to do. Well, there's
And
always
my wife's pregnant,
and I'm
right?
pregnant.
So she's on the back of a dirt bike with me, and
Yeah,
we
that's
hit
what
any bump, and she's like, oh.
That's what I was gonna explain. So it was cold, and so the activity, instead of boating, we went huckleberry picking, and I'm like, okay, I should be fine. Like, I'm only like 20-ish weeks pregnant, I think, at this point, and I was like, it'll be okay. Like, I just have a small bump, whatever. But oh my word, we start going up this like dirt, scraggly trail, and anytime we hit a bump, I was like, I'm gonna die, and my babies are gonna die, and I'm gonna go into labor. This is so painful.
It was bad.
And I was like, oh my word, like, note to
I did
self,
the best I could.
I'm never doing this again. I'm like, there's a time and a place to go huckleberry picking. It's not when you're 20 weeks pregnant with twins.
Well, it would have been fine if we weren't on a dirt bike.
It would have been fine if we weren't on the dirt bike. But then too, it was just, I don't know. I mean, Elijah and I laughed about it. Like, I wasn't grumpy, but I was just like, okay, this is not the right activity for me.
No,
it was just funny.
Yeah. So I guess what we want your takeaway to be from all of this is just the idea of definitely make time for your family and extended family. Make sure that it's the right time for you to go as well.
Be emotionally intelligent when you make this decision, knowing you're not going on vacation.
Yeah. But then, in addition to that, like, make sure you help. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. It's just vital that you continue to practice what we believe in and just be that good person and really, take that initiative to help out not even just your in-laws or your own parents, but just anybody who needs it, and
be a nice guest.
Yeah, be a guest that gets welcomed back. Be that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Please tune in to more of our episodes. Share it with friends. Go on to our other platforms. We're on Pinterest and Instagram. And please, let us know what you'd like to hear about and message us directly.
Yep. All right. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to The Endless Party. Please feel free to join us over at our website, theendlessparty.com, for more of our content. Also, we would love to hear from you. Leave some comments and let us know what you're interested in us talking about.
Seriously, like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, whatever it is the platform says to do, so that we can keep partying together.